I'm Sune. I'm from South Africa and I'm an artist living in Daejeon. In 2020, when we all had a lot of time, well, I got into film photography, and then I remembered that back in 2005, I think, I went to a tour of like an art campus and I saw students walking around taking photos with like tin cans and coffee cans, and I'm like, I want to do that. Never got the time, and then ended up getting around to it, I think maybe in 2021, like last year. Anyway, found a tutorial on YouTube on how to make a simple matchbox pinhole camera. Liked it, but wanted something more sturdy, so I tried one with like balsa wood, but that was a little small and the design needed improvement because it was definitely gonna break. So I went through some process, kept the shutter. I liked the overly designed one, and then I ended up with my final pinhole camera that's made of basswood, and I added this silly feature so that I could play with different things. Yeah, so I hope this one lasts. I did actually try it with this last time, just like adding that, so then it created interesting things.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's the pinhole camera. I come from a very supportive family, and the idea that I was going to study art has always sort of been there. But then I ended up studying architecture, and when I graduated in 2012, the building industry was kind of taking a dip. I came here in 2013, and within that first year, joined the Daejeon Arts Collective, because I did have this creative, this need to create stuff. So I started experimenting with materials, themes. At that point, I hadn't quite found my thing yet. Around 2016, I was living in a very small apartment, and like the neighbor next door, they had this kid who made like interesting noises, and I just assumed that, okay, the kid has autism. And then they would have arguments, and I was like, oh, they must be like fighting, because my Korean was not good. And I realized that I was making up this story about people that I didn't even know what they looked like. In Korea, or coming to Korea, this ability to recreate yourself and reinvent yourself. I started focusing on the fictions that we basically create to make sense of the world. We created this future story that ended up not materializing, but then we just, rewrote our little story. I built little like wireframe models, which I guess was a callback to architecture, but it was this empty frame with little architecture people in it. It was inspired by that apartment story where we're all like living these little realities in these little pigeonholes or shoebox apartments that we're living in, but it's all hidden by the material world around us. And within that, you have this amazing world where, like, the way people think, their worldview, all of that, like, there's no way to see it, but I'm very interested in the dangerous aspects of that, and then the way that it can connect people. Yeah, and so my art since 2016 has been focused on stories and fictions and reality. I met Haesuk, who we started, like, we do the 1,000 drawings together, and we saw art by different artists that sort of like had a similar visual identity, and we contacted them, and through that ended up finding out that our actual focus is the same as well. And we did an exhibition together and then formed a group which we've exhibited together since then, and we've invited other artists and that I really enjoy. So like connecting with people who have similar interests or focused on similar things. There's another solo exhibition happening in October, which I swear I'm gonna start working on soon. The 4 artist group, we're doing a group show in June, and for that project I'm in the process of making a sort of life-size fabric house. So in my spare time, what I'm doing is just sewing. Like, that's why the sewing machine is in the kitchen. It's just like sewing fabric together to have a almost life-size house inside the gallery. Especially as a foreigner in Korea, creating this reality, or this home that but it's very flimsy, and it sort of calls back to making a tent in your living room and like feeling safe and having this like imaginary space where magic happens, but it's still located in a broader room with its own issues. So like the fabric I feel like works well because I can put my work in a suitcase and like set up my fabric house somewhere else like fairly easily, which I think works. When I got the machine, I was very like I like driving, but this thing is an industrial sewing machine, so it's like powerful. So I keep slowing down. I'm like, do I drive like this? Like, no, I don't. No.